everybody. Welcome back to the, I was going to say Beyond Your Wildest Dreams podcast. Welcome back to your...
Which I really love that name.
Exactly. That's the other podcast. Sorry, producer, director. I am Dr. Mike Acanfora, and with me I have Kathy Pacifico for the Health and Wellness in Bayonne show. How is everybody doing?
We're doing fantastic.
That's awesome. I'm doing great. So today we're going to do things a little different as we have been so caught up in the world. We're actually not prepared. And Kathy is my preparedness partner.
We're just going to really be spontaneous.
We are going to be spontaneous, and don't tell anybody, but we're going to wing it.
We are.
We're going to wing it, and it's going to be fantastic.
It will be.
Awesome. We also didn't have the opportunity to have a guest. We asked Andy to be on the show, but he respectfully declined.
He gave us a rain check, though, so I think we're going to be seeing him very soon.
As soon as I get my tie and shirt back from the cleaning.
Yeah?
Thank you.
I'm going to hold you to that. Look forward to it.
So today we want to talk about gratitude. And what I'd like to start with is what you were talking to me about, our little preamble. You read a letter that really brought home what gratitude is about and the shifting of energy in a moment and how that can impact somebody's life. So you want to read that?
I would love to read that.
Awesome.
Yeah, I thought it would be a great opening.
I think it would be too.
I could have to give credit to somebody that I partner with, and she really was bringing the essence of, the spirit of the holidays coming. Sure. And how we are always racing from here to there, and
yes.
We have so much going on that we sometimes don't pause enough to take that breath.
Absolutely.
And as cliche as gratitude may be, and it's cultivating the attitude of gratitude, it's how do we move away from the casualness of being grateful and to create the right mindset, and how do we really cultivate that? And I was inspired by a letter that she read to us, and I wanted to pay it forward. And the letter said, as the rest of us passengers waited beside the plane for our carry-ons to be unloaded, the owner of this particular carry-on waited in a seat on the plane because he had no legs of his own to walk on. Due to the large size of his wheelchair, the baggage attendant really struggled to get out of the hull of the plane. It was literally stuck. It took a very long time. At first, people seemed fine, simply talking amongst themselves as we all watched and waited. As minutes passed, the crowd became a bit impatient. Clearly, folks had places to go. They needed to meet people. The fact that the wheelchair was causing them a big delay started to irritate them. And then something incredibly happened. The attendant continued to struggle to get the wheelchair out, and 3 other attendants went to help him. They worked as a team, figuring out what to do. It took a very long time. You might think the crowd became more impatient, but that's not what happened at all. We all had been on an uneasy air, and the people around became easy again. You could feel the change occur from something that was hostile and getting agitated to something that was calmer and great. People started looking, at the whole situation from a different perspective. Yes. It was an immediate shift.
Right.
I stood there thinking about how his life must have looked. I thought about how long every tiny task that you and I take for granted every day was a true labor for him. Maybe that's not how the people around me were seeing it, but I think they were a little. I think that those who were irritated about having to stand for so long were all of a sudden grateful to be able to stand. I think those that were anxious about running to the next gate that they needed to get to, that they were all of a sudden grateful to be able to run to that next gate. At least that's certainly how I was seeing things. There are messages everywhere, every day, reminding us how grateful we are and how grateful we can be. Please don't miss them. And so it made me reflect, because we were coming back from an event and we were stuck in traffic. And sometimes people talk about road rage and things that happen, and just getting impatient because we have places to go.
Sure.
And, we're stuck.
Yep.
And it's the shift in perspective as you're driving past a major accident Or you say,
Absolutely.
I'm grateful that I wasn't in the accident.
Right.
I'm grateful that I'm in the traffic,
Yep.
not the cause of the traffic. And it was just, in reflecting, because we get active and there's a lot that goes on between now and the new year.
Yes.
And if people were to take on the approach of fostering that
Yes.
attitude, and not making it be so just common sense, but common
Absolutely.
practice.
Absolutely. And for me, what I try to do is center myself every morning. And I think how our morning goes basically goes the rest of the day. So the first thing after getting out of bed and brushing my teeth is I go to my gratitude journal. And it's a very simple process, and we've talked about it in the past. What 3 things are you grateful for?
Yep.
And there are many things that I'm grateful for. Like last winter when it was snowing all the time, we didn't get to take care of many people because nobody came out of the house. So I was grateful that I had the opportunity to take care of the people that were able to get to our office.
Right.
I'm grateful that I have a wonderful wife. I'm grateful that I have really uniquely different children, one being a driver and Jack being Jack. So there are many things to be grateful for, and I start every day with those 3 things that I'm grateful for. And then the next thing is, what would make today great? So what would make today great? One of them may be that I say, I'd like to get into town without any traffic.
Right.
As we all know, lately trying to get in and out of town has been very difficult.
Correct.
So, I mean, that may be one of the things that I hope, just that, coming in without it, or allow me to, what both of us do is use my time in transit in a healthy way. And I'm not saying I don't like to listen to music, which I do, but I think time better spent in travel is listening to an audiobook or listening to a podcast or just listening to something that's going to allow me to relax while I'm driving.
Absolutely. You kind of always have to have plan B.
Yes.
And
Yes.
whether it's for your health, whether
Yep.
it's for gratitude, whether
Yep.
it's for being in traffic, it's
Yep.
how do you have plan B? Because we can wake up with that perspective.
Yes.
And I think, it's cultivating that discipline
Yes.
of
Yep.
how do you ask yourself that question and get good at being in that ritual of doing
Yes.
it. Because I think you could read something, you could be inspired for a few days, and then that inspiration kind of fades a little bit. So how do we begin to practice it so much that it becomes automatic?
Yes.
And how do we kind of share that with others so that there is that sense of
Right.
follow through?
Absolutely.
And so I think with that question, I remember Dr. Wayne Dyer, would always say, when he put his feet on the floor, when he got out of his bed, he'd ask himself those 3 questions. Like, what am I grateful for?
Right.
I created a shampoo bottle for our house, and we put the 3 questions that we call them the power questions.
Sure.
It's because you have to get up. Everybody takes a shower, and so we have that as not a decor, but it's a bottle that we continue to fill
Absolutely.
up. But there's 3 questions on it, and the questions are: what am I grateful for?
Okay.
What am I prepared for?
Beautiful.
And what am I enthusiastic about?
Fantastic.
And just so to kind of spark up some of the energy in our mind, because we wake up and sometimes we don't feel grateful, or
Right.
we had a bad night, we didn't sleep.
Absolutely.
And so we wake up on the wrong side of the bed.
Yeah.
So how do you cultivate that when you wake up on the wrong side of the bed? And
Well, it's very funny is that both you and I, in our positions in life of where we are in our influence in our community, there is no wrong side of the bed.
correct.
There's just getting out of the bed, but there's not the opportunity to have woken up on the wrong side of the bed, because there are individuals that rely on us to be who we are.
Correct.
And I'm not saying, oh, look at us, we're wonderful, but that's the reality of people don't want to come in and see me and me say, I had a terrible night's sleep and life is terrible and blah, blah. They're coming to see me to help them. And a lot of times it's not just the physical help, it's just talking to me or just talking to the staff or talking to the therapist or the acupuncturist.
So it sounds like you have an inspiration, a reason why you want to be a role model.
Absolutely.
To others, and to extend not only your services,
Mm-hmm.
but you're paying it forward in taking responsibility for who you want to wake up and be.
Absolutely.
And because you
Every day.
feel, and so how do we continue to pay that forward? How do we become contagious in that and help people cultivate that even at a stronger level?
Yeah, I think, for me personally, I think it's by leading, and it's leading by example.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only way that I know how. I find it very easy to sympathize and empathize with somebody
Correct.
when they're going through something. And then by myself vibrating at a higher level, allow them to vibrate as well. So it's something where we come into contact with people and have that opportunity to, as I say, almost every morning, one of the things I'm grateful for is to create value, whatever that means. So if in the midst of us talking during this show, you have an idea about a new program, I feel that I played a part in that and helped to create value.
Right.
If in me talking to you, you say something to me, and I can then turn around, which I have in things that you've said, and turn around and bring it back to my office.
Absolutely.
My community is affected in a positive way. I pay that forward. Francis Bacon said, knowledge is power. And I would say he only had the equation half right.
Correct.
It's the application of that knowledge.
Absolutely.
So it's these little opportunities that we're talking about in driving to the office, in driving to the gym, that we may come across these things and it's like, ping.
Right.
I got a great story for you. Denise, my wife Denise, is a manager of a consignment store. And I joke and say, people come in to see you because you create an experience. You actually ping them. And you set into motion their day that it is better than it was before they came in.
Correct.
And they had no idea that their day was going to be transformed by going into a consignment store. It's a women's consignment store,
Yes,
Pleasant
yes,
Beach,
yes.
Urban Exchange, anybody that's down there. But she has found in her life something other than outside of her family that gives her so much joy and happiness. It's amazing to be around. And I can feel that energy
Right.
in what she does. And to be fulfilled for her, it's that self-fulfilling prophecy. So everyone that comes in gets pinged.
Right.
And we
I like that.
joke. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's fun that you say that, and it's teaching people how to step outside of themselves and to be able to give
Yes.
that energy to people when they come in.
Yes.
Like sounds like she has an intention
Yes.
for the people that are going to come visit her
Yes.
establishment. And,
Yes.
and when they come in, she has an intention for making sure that they leave with that feeling
Yes.
of being appreciated or
Absolutely.
being cared for. And I have had a mentor, and he taught me something that I kind of really hold dear to my heart. And he talked about, having the opportunity to kind of really have an impact on people and to really improve the quality of relationships and that sense of being. He
Right.
said that you want to take people into the cup of your hand. I don't know if we ever talked about this.
No,
at
we
work.
didn't.
But to take people into the cup, he called it. He had an acronym, and the cup of your hand was to be able to connect with people.
Yep.
To be able to really provide an uplifting energy.
Sure.
And to really take the moment to praise and show gratitude.
Yes.
And so when I first introduced this at the club, because it's easy to say our mission is
Yes.
to make feeling good a way of life. We want
Absolutely.
people to feel good. We want to be grateful for their
Yep.
presence. But to really demonstrate that, people sometimes have a difficulty,
Yes.
or it becomes cliche. And so how do you practice? And we used to do a 10-day challenge of how do you really,
I love that.
deliver the cup
Yep.
and carry people in the cup of your
Yep.
hand. And so they struggled, and I found it interesting that they were struggling with how to do it.
Yes.
So they would come to me and say, well, how can I do this better?
Yep.
And I said, well, let's think of those elements. If you are going to connect with people, can you be present?
Yes.
You know, so we talk about the holidays coming and being grateful for, you know, spending time with people.
Yes.
And we get wrapped up in getting all these presents. And if my dad, which would drive me crazy when I was growing up, he used to say, I don't want your presents, I want your presents. And I would love to get presents for people because it was my way of giving and showing.
Sure.
So when he would say that, as I handed him his gift,
Yep.
And I realized, because now I have children, and my younger son said the other day to me, he goes, Mom, is it normal that I only see you in the last couple of weeks, like a couple hours? And I went, oh, it's the presents, not the presents.
Yes.
You know, and so as we go into the next season and we think about the holidays and what it really means,
Yep.
one of the things in creating and cultivating that energy with people and bringing gratitude is being able to be present for them.
Yes.
Being compassionate for them. And I think that was a big thing to teach people. How do you put yourself in somebody else's shoes when they walk in to your office? How do you really understand where people are coming?
Absolutely.
And be really interested. Like, leave yourself and be really interested.
Yes.
Like your wife sounds like when they walk in,
Yes.
she's very interested in them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And how many people, how can we change the energy during the season, like, and make it uplifting?
Yep.
Yeah, we talk about, sometimes you walk on the street, like maybe it's July, and you walk past somebody, and if you said hello to them, they might think you have a gun.
Yes.
But if you did
Very
it
true.
now during the holiday season, you said, hi, have Merry Christmas.
Yes.
People are like, oh, Merry Christmas, because
Absolutely.
there's a shift in perspective about, you know, the time of
There
year.
is, very much so.
So how do we make that last whole year long without feeling like the person's strange?
You know, it's interesting that you say that, because when we were younger, you would say, I'm striving to be happy. I just want to be happy. And happiness is an emotion.
Right.
And emotions, no matter what they are fleeting. You can't hold on to those emotions for a long period of time. Gratitude, on the other hand, is a way of being. Now, I know that's kind of deep, but in society, we want the answers to our questions today. And when we don't get them, we get mismatched expectations. And that's not being grateful for being in the moment.
Correct.
So I think that what the holidays do is allow us to be grateful in that moment. Or, like your dad said, the presence with a CE. We are more present during the holidays than we are most times a year. And the goal should be, or the objective should be, for us to help others cultivate that year-round.
Correct. And even more so, you know, as much as we want to, I think, and I could be speaking for myself because I watch things from afar, I think the intention, which is good, that we want to be more present because we have everybody together.
Yes.
But is it like we're rushing to get there?
Right.
We're ripping open presents in the midst of it? Are we really appreciating each moment? Are we taking the time, when we think about Thanksgiving, are we taking the time to talk about appreciation? You know, and I know that this is going to be aired a little bit later, but we can do it for, you know, Christmas as well. But what about having an appreciation chair?
Yeah.
Where you have somebody sit in the chair and you kind of have everybody in the family kind of just share something about that particular person.
That's exactly what we do. So you know, there's the prayer before we eat, but there's also, tell us what you're grateful for.
Right.
So that is big.
Right.
And really, you know, in the younger kids, it can be, you know, things, material things, whatever they are on their path. But for most of us, most of the time, it's that we are with our loved ones during this period of time. And I think that the reflection of the people who aren't there as well.
Well, it's interesting to extend that. You know, we do it, we call it the chair of honor. And so we would pick somebody that was at the dinner table or a couple people, and we'd say, okay, you're going to sit in the chair and we're going to honor you.
Okay.
And so to take that to another level and to take the praise and taking people in the cup of your hand, if we can take people in our family into the cup of our hand, how can the experience of Thanksgiving or the holidays be elevated? And if we were to say, be explicit, and have everybody really write down on the index card.
Yep.
Like, say you had places
Yep.
of what you really were grateful about that person next to you, and
Yes.
then it traveled around. And then that
Yep.
person sat in the chair, and you videotaped it, and you had
That's
an
fantastic. I love that. I love
opportunity
it.
to
Yeah.
say, okay, everybody has to tell Mike what they
Yes.
are so grateful for
Yep.
about him, what they appreciate about
Yes.
him.
That's
or
remarkable.
acknowledge something that is a
Yep.
strength of Michael.
Yeah. Where did that start in your family? How did that start?
It started from a mentor that I had.
No kidding.
And then I have a woman that works with us, and she comes into the Sandy, actually.
Yeah, okay.
And so one day she did it for me, and I was mortified because we get really we blush because she had me on stage, and
Absolutely.
she goes, "I need you to sit in this chair." And so I sat in this chair, and she said, "We're gonna do the chair of honor." I'm like, "What is that about?" And
That is hysterical.
and so, and everybody kind of went around
Yep.
and said something, which, we don't do that enough.
We don't do it at all.
I think it just allows us to kind of embrace something real special. And
Yes.
it's a memory that if you videotaped it, you get to watch. I think that's one of the best gifts I've
Absolutely.
received.
That's
And-
amazing.
you think about spending a lot of money on things, but
Right.
you have somebody that could, take the opportunity to really get the thought out of people. I think it was
Absolutely.
pretty powerful. I'm grateful for the amazing team that I have. As I'm thinking of the Chair of Honor, I think of a woman, Tony, that we just had a tribute. I don't know if you know Tony, but
Yes.
she's been with us for probably 30 years,
Yep.
and she was a cancer survivor.
We need to have Tony on the show.
Yeah, I will. That would have been a
Maybe
good
for
thing
the
to.
new year.
Yeah,
I think
she's
that's a great idea.
outstanding.
Yep.
And she's really done an amazing job in inspiring others and
Yep.
paying it forward, and so it's a wonderful thing.
Absolutely. Like yourself, I'm grateful for everyone around me, the other chiropractors who have the same vision that I do, the acupuncturist, the physical therapist, our staff, family, my wife who's very supportive and nurturing to me in my vision. I'm out of the house for most of the day, most of the days of the week, so I'm not even around to help with the daily stuff. I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, I could ditto on that. My
Yeah.
Pete and I are incredible partners.
Yep.
My children, I'm grateful for the energy that they give to me. And
Yep.
my son has a rule. He calls it stopping the world. I think we talked about that. There was a long time ago. There was something that said, "Did you? Is your child? What was the thing that they had on the radio? Where is your child? Do you know where your
it's
child
10
is?"
p.m. Do you know where your child
Yeah,
is?
so but my son, when I came home one day, he said to me, "Mom," he said, "stop." And I said, "I got a lot of things to do. What are you talking about?" He stopped me. He goes, "Just come here." And he hugged me. Now,
Yep.
a hug, it was like a 10-second hug
Yep.
is like a long time if
Yep.
you're in a rush. So, but he
Uh-huh.
taught me, he said, "Stop." So I stopped, and he was hugging me. And I went to release myself from the hug, and he said, no, just stop. And so we stopped, and then I started talking. He said, no, shh. And so I'm grateful because he taught me how to stop the world.
That's amazing.
And that's what he calls it. We call it stopping the world. And so
I love
maybe
it.
this holiday season we can tell people
Absolutely.
to take more time to stop the world. And
Jack is the one in our family very similar to your son, but he's the one who will come and say goodnight and he loves you 3 or 4 times. Like, I just wanted to say I love you, good night,
Right.
I'm going to bed. And then say, oh, did I actually say that? And
Right.
come down and, the same thing. It's just everybody has a role in the family, and I'm just grateful for, same thing, my kids having two totally different personalities, and each of them being exactly where they need to be in their lives. And hopefully, just like in our office, at home, leading by example and setting those tones for them.
yeah, and teaching them how to really be appreciative.
Yes.
And really kind of pay that forward
Yep.
is really what's kind of powerful. And to be able to, I think, even extend that through your business, my business.
Yep.
I know that this 2016 is going to be quite astounding, for some of the
Absolutely.
programs I know you had spoken about. And
Yeah, it's fascinating what we've been able to cultivate in a very short period of time with the Women's Empowerment Project, able to bring Tai Chi, yoga, Pilates, meditation, Looks like we'll have a Qigong class, and that's only manifested itself in the last couple months. So I think 2016 is going to be a phenomenal year for everybody. The name of the show is Health and Wellness in Bayonne, and I think that our first year together is coming to a close. I think it's been a great year for us on the show. We've had a lot of fun.
Yeah, we have.
We've had some really neat guests, and I hope that 2016 brings more of that.
It will. I feel very strong about it. I'm excited about what we're bringing to the club and the lifestyle and transformation that we've been able to create, and it's just going to be quite phenomenal.
Cool. So is there anything you'd like to say before we leave?
I just think get ready for 2016. I can't wait to work with you, Andy. This is going to be your year.
What a treat.
Be grateful for the opportunity to work with you. It'll be an honor.
And likewise with you guys.
All right, everybody. Have a great night, and we'll see you soon. Ciao.
Bye.